Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 1.4. You are now over halfway done with the first unit. And in this lesson we're going to be talking about the coordinate plane. Coordinate pairs, the coordinate plane. We're going to talk about the different parts that make up the coordinate plane. So we'll go ahead and jump in. So a coordinate pair tells us in something that looks like that, where a certain point is on the coordinate plane. So it can be written as two numbers within a set of parentheses, and there's a comma in between. And the first value tells us how far we're going to go along the x-axis. So that's our x value. So in this point A, this one here, 4 would be our x value. And then our y value would be -2. In the next one we have our x value is 2, our y value is 3, and so on like that. So the x value is always on the left. That tells you how far you're going to go left and right. And the y value tells you how far you're going to go up and down. And we'll see that in a second. So coordinate pairs look something like 3, -3. That could be a coordinate pair. Another example could be -2, 50. Those could all be graphed onto a coordinate plane, which is our next topic. So the coordinate plane, we talked about x values, and remember those have to do with how far we're going left and right. So in this first one we would be going right 3, and the second one we'd be going left 2 because that's a negative. So the x value tells you how far you're going left and right. And so I drew a horizontal line because that actually is the x-axis. So you notice down here there's a little x. That's because this part is the x-axis. That's where we're going to go left and right to figure out where our point lies. Alright. Our y value told us, that one told us how far we're going up and down. So it's perfectly perpendicular to that first line. And we see it, that's the y-axis in that bottom picture of a coordinate plane. So then we have the y-axis, and so I'll label it there. That's the x-axis, is the horizontal one. You can remember horizontal because of horizon is inside it, so it's kind of like the horizon line. And then the y-axis is the vertical one, the one that goes up and down. Where those two meet, that point right there perfectly in the middle, that is called the origin. So the origin, also known as the point 0, 0. So if we wrote that as a point, it would be that. So that's the origin. And so that's pretty much it with the coordinate plane. The only other thing that I want to point out in this video is that the quadrants, so in the coordinate plane, the quadrants are labeled. So this would be a quadrant, this would be a quadrant, and so on. There are 4 quadrants, and they're labeled like this. So the top right one is coordinate 1. We're breaking out the Roman numerals. So quadrant 1, and then as we go counterclockwise around, that's how we're going to label this. So quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and then quadrant 4. In Roman numerals, it's an IV, quadrant 4. So this part right here would be especially good to make a copy of in your notes, just so you always have that. And then know that a coordinate pair looks like that. Well, it looks like this, but the value on the left is the x value, value on the right is the y value. Alright, so we talked a little bit about the origin, and when we're plotting points, we always want to start at 0, 0. So I just made a coordinate pair, 0, 0, where our x value is 0 and our y value is also 0. So when plotting points, always start at 0, 0, aka the origin. So we're always, when we plot these points, which is what we're going to do in example 1, we're always going to start right there, right in the middle of the graph, at the point 0, 0. Alright. So graph each point on the coordinate plane, and our first point is the point 4, negative 2. The letters just tell you which problem we're on. So 4, negative 2. And so we said that x values tell you how far to go left and right. So this 4 tells us how far I'm going to go left or right. It's positive, so if we have a positive value, we're going to go right 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to be the first part. We know that our point is going to be somewhere along this line here. And then our y value, this negative 2, that tells us how far to go up and down. Now it's negative, so that's going to tell us we're going down 2. So we go right 4 and down 2. That's going to be our point right about there. And we could label that as point A. Could write that next to it. Alright. On to B, problem number 2. B is the point or the coordinate pair 2, 3. And the x tells us that we're going to move right 2. And the y value tells us that we're going to move up 3. So our point is going to be at 2, 3. And we can go ahead and label that one as well. So that's point B. Now we're going to do that with the next 4. Let me do one more with you and then I'll let you try the last 3. So we've got point C is at negative 4, negative 3. That's the coordinate pair for point C. Now if we have negative in the x value, do you think we're still going to go right? No, we're going to go left 4. So we know that our point is going to be in this line because we went left 4 to negative 4. So left 4 and then down 3. So negative 3. So left 4 and down 3 is going to put us at this point here. And then continuing on labeling that, that's point C. Alright, so at this point pause the video and try the rest. I'll write them at the end of the video so that you can check your answers, but go ahead and pause it now and then unpause it and you can check your answers. Alright, assuming that you tried it, let me go ahead and plot point D is at 0, 0. We know that that is also known as the origin. So that's the point 0, 0, and that will be D. Next one, point E is at -1, 2, so we're going left 1, up 2, and that's the point E. Oops, wrote that way too big. And then our last one is point F, which is at 0, 4. So if we have 0, that means we're not going left at all and we're not going right at all. We're just staying within this line. So we know that our answer is going to be along that line, along the y-axis. And then we're just going to go up 4. So our y value is 4, and that's going to be our point right there. So that's point F. Alright. So that's your introduction to functions. We talked about coordinate pairs, which look like this. We talked about the coordinate plane and its 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, and then 2, 3, and 4 as you go around the coordinate plane counterclockwise. And then we also labeled the x-axis, the y-axis, and the origin. So there's a pretty in-depth idea for an introduction to functions.